Truth be told, every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit.
Crossroads, life's tolls, life goes. I gotta win. W my lockdown. You can't rewind.
Hey, this is your host, Sonya, with the Remember Who You Are 222 podcast. I'm here with Dom. And we're actually going to be talking about deprogramming today. So Dom, what about when you first started, I guess, deprogramming? What did you start to see in your patterns and different things like that?
Yeah, I think so when deprogramming started for me, it always started with questions that I already had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's questions that we don't allow ourselves to ask. Like when I was religious. Grew up, in church. And when things would happen that didn't make sense to me, I would not question it. I would just do what everyone says and take it on faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just speaking specifically about, the religion, but there's a lot more. But I just always had questions about things, and it just didn't make sense. But those questions, when deprogramming started for me, it started with me allowing myself to ask questions that I normally wouldn't ask. And so then when I finally started asking those questions, it led me to another place of like, okay, well, when I got the answers, I accepted them. And I accepted them. If the answer was that the path that I was following was not true, I was okay with that, because truth became my guide.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was probably the biggest catalyst for me for deprogramming. It was like, well, I want to know what's true. I don't care. I don't care what the answer is. I don't want to live a lie, And so for me, that was a big deal. And so, it once I started doing that, and I actually started deprogramming myself first. I started looking at myself and started to see who I was, how I was a hypocrite, how I was not living up to the place that I needed to be. And so I deprogrammed with me first. And then I started looking at everything else after that. And I was like, well, am I who I'm supposed to be? Nope. Am I a liar? Yep. Yep. Am I doing? Yep. And I really had to just face myself. So it was kind of this rapid accountability for myself. And then after I did me, nothing else, no other lies stood a chance. Like, anything else in my life, based on relationships or education, religion, work, any type of indoctrination that I had received was going to be checked. And it was, for me, it was just this hunger to know what was true. And so truth pushed a lot of lies out of the way. It just moved them out of the way. Like they couldn't exist, And I was like, and then the thing is that in my deprogramming, everyone else around me they weren't doing that. So there's a pressure from other people, family members. Hey, no, this is how we do things traditionally,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, okay, mom, cousin, uncle, whoever you are, that I love you, but I have to let this part go. And that was a challenge for me, because I didn't know how to do that. Like, I have to let this part go, but while still loving you. But a lot of them will look at you differently and we're like, oh, well, you're not moving the way that we move. So
yeah,
how they say in church, like, we're unequally yoked now.
Right. Yeah. So how is that, like, with your family dynamic, where you I don't know, I guess some people start to fall away from their family, or like
yeah, I have a different level. Like, I can still love them. Some people have an awakening and then they become extremely judgmental of people who don't have that same level of awakening. And so for me, it wasn't that. It wasn't, it was just, I still love you. I just don't believe the way that you do. So I can still keep the love, but I have to let go of the belief. And so I just didn't have certain conversations about, like, I didn't talk about that. If that person started talking about their, let's say, faith was a big deal. they start talking about God, I'm like, heck yeah, amen. I'm glad, happy for you. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
praise him. I'm there with you. I have no
Yeah.
problem with that. That's how you are reaching God at this point. I got no problem with that. And if you stay there forever, I have no problem with that. That is your path. And
Yeah.
so there was a radical acceptance of other people's path as well. There
Mhm.
was never a point in my deprogramming where I had to deprogram everyone else.
Right.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
just if someone, and that's not my role. My role is not to say, hey, what you're doing is stupid. No, it was never that. It was just
Yeah.
like I had a radical acceptance of who people were, and
Mhm.
like, you know what? It's like
Non-judgment.
an acceptance of their journey.
Mhm.
Like, because I didn't want anyone imposing me on my journey and tell, like,
Mhm.
so I had to accept other people's journey. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. You know, I've even, like I said, I've told a friend, I was like, yeah, I'll go to church with you. I got no problem with that. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
praise and worship. I love praise. I still love praise.
Right.
Praise and worship. Like, I
Like
love
the
that. I love
songs. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I love that. It's like it gets me in a good space. I said, but I'm not the indoctrination part. I
Mhm.
can sit there, I can listen to it. I have no problem with that.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna be going every Sunday and going to Bible study
Yeah.
on Tuesday. I'm not doing that. Like,
Right.
but I did not have a problem with other people's journey. I still don't have
Mhm.
another problem with other people's journey.
Yeah.
But it would definitely was something that I had to be aware of.
Mhm.
It's like, you know, I had to move differently in ways. I had to make some adjustments myself
Mhm.
to make sure that everybody was okay. Like, you know, and I wasn't gonna take over moments with whatever it was that my awakening was. I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
allow us to be normal. You know, like, hey, let's talk about what happened to Aunt Sally. Really? That
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
And oh man, she did that again. Wow. I wasn't gonna say, well, you know, she's in this quantum. I was not
Oh,
about.
yeah, like putting
I'm
all
not
that
about to do.
information out.
No, like, well, you know, she's her. It's a battle between her higher and lower. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not. And I'm.
You know what,
But
though? I feel like I went through that too in this most recent awakening, I guess. Like I went through
right.
that with my family and my
Mhm.
friends. Like I wasn't gonna be telling them how I really thought or felt.
Now the close people that I'm really, really close to know
Mm,
about they know, and I tell them, just because I'm glad, I say, listen, so if you see me in this mode, just understand this is what's happening with me. And these are people that
mm,
love me, that are going to accept me. So I'm
mhm,
okay talking to them. But in general
mm.
spaces, no, I'm not. I'm only talking to people that want the information.
Yeah.
And that's a process of alignment. So I'm not, it's a shift from my past life and in Christianity, where you're supposed to go and speak about, you know, hey, let me tell
Mm,
you, you know, people could be
right.
having a conversation about, you
You're
know,
pushing it on everybody.
yeah, they could be talking about bread, and you're like, well, you know, Jesus is the bread of life, right? I'm like, okay, look, dude, I'm trying to figure out if we are we gonna get wheat bread, or are we getting, which one? You could be talking
Right.
about tires. Well, you know, you can't roll right without Jesus, right? And I'm like, stop. Like, so for me, I made sure to go against that and
Mm,
just meet people wherever they are and
mhm,
just be secure in where I am, to where
right.
I don't need,
Mhm,
my job is not to deprogram you, it's to deprogram
mhm,
me.
right.
And then the alignment will work itself out. So when you move
Mhm,
in this quantum field, you're moving in alignment. Like, you move
mhm.
things from alignment, not from effort. Or so I've
Right,
had
hard
many
work.
like us meeting. Wait, what?
Mhm. I
Uh,
said, yeah, not from effort or hard work.
yeah, no, like you and I meeting, we
Mhm.
met through alignment. Like,
Alignment, yeah.
I'm doing the work, and then all of a sudden you and I connected. However, you know, Kim reached out to me and said, hey, this lady wants to talk to you. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. I remember her. I remember her.
Yeah,
I remember the energy. I
the
remember when you
energy, you
spoke, when
remember.
you said, I was like, oh, she one of them. Like,
Yeah.
she one of them people. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that was alignment, but it wasn't this force that a lot of people feel necessary. And I feel like that's trying to deprogram other people, that's an ego involved endeavor.
Mhm.
Your ego's involved in that. Like, my ego, if I have to go change everybody, then my ego is not healed. And so for me, it's something that I stay away from. I trust alignment. I trust the whoever is going to meet me, they're going to meet me. So, and I've seen it. I know this works, but there is a letting go in this deprogramming process that's actually painful, because it is painful to let go of some of the things that you believe. And it's like Neo when he wakes up from the Matrix, and it's painful. It's not a happy, like,
Right.
yay, I'm awakening.
Because it's like, whoa, wait, all of this is a lie?
Yeah, I'm telling you. And
yeah, it really is that moment of like, dang, like we're in a hologram and we can change it any moment that we want.
and to think that the other thing too is the emotional connection that you have to who taught you what you know. Like my mom gave me my faith in God. And so it's like, so to leave that, I have to leave my mom too. It's like so the emotional connection to who taught us the things,
Yeah.
Our society, you being in the military, the Marine Corps taught you a lot.
Yeah, that was a programming I had to deprogram from.
Yeah. And it's all over education, how relationships work. How relationships go. I just watched something this morning that was a deprogram that in your spiritual journey, you're going to come across people who are false spiritual entities and they will speak the language. They will say the right things, but their goal is to some type of manipulation and control. And when I saw that this morning, I reckoned, and they said the purpose of that is you're being tested to see if you are able to detect artificial. And so I thought about that, and I was like, damn, I was in a relationship like that where the closer I got to this person, I just knew. I was like, nah, this ain't it.
It wasn't it. Yeah.
Even though the language was there, it's saying
like all the spiritual language.
There was mechanisms of control. There was and I was like, this ain't it. Like, but so
I started seeing that too, actually, and and just talking to different people, and there's the fake spiritual people for sure.
Right.
Really are just trying. They just want the money or the clout, all those different things. That's not aligned.
Or to get next to you. They see the light that you bring and they want to get next to that light. But what ends up happening is that people see the light and they're like, oh my gosh, your light is so great, Sonya. It's great, man. It's beautiful. And the closer they get to you, like, can you turn that down?
Oh yeah.
Can you? It's hurting my eyes a little bit, Sonya. Matter of fact, can you stop posting those videos, Sonya? I mean, because you're always posting, like, really. A real lady wouldn't be on the internet all the time. A real lady would be more discreet. You see how it like the subtle, and then you like
subtle little things.
You like the person, so you're like, dang, you know what? Maybe I should consider that. And then, but the knowing in you, and I recognize this too. The knowing in me was like, hell no, we are not doing that.
Yeah, and you were like, what?
But I actually would capitulate to some of it, and I was like, okay, let me. But then knowing, I just knew, it was like, yeah, this ain't it.
Yeah,
this ain't it.
Feel right.
But so that was a deprogramming for me as well, to look at the fine line between loving someone and then losing who you are. Like, because you're taught to love and then just give your entire being to another. So that's a programming. That's the romance part, the romantic part, the movies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you look, and so like you were just talking about right now, feeling like you were losing yourself in the narcissistic world, like losing yourself. Anything that I come across that causes me to lose who I am, I have to detach from it. That's a rule, and I had to get to a place of deprogramming myself in order to adopt that rule for myself. Because and this person even told me, well, love is everything, and you're supposed to do everything for love. And they were telling me, I was like, okay, that's cool, but yeah, no,
yeah, no. I was like, if it's like you said, if I'm losing myself for love, then that's not right.
And here's the other thing: anyone that will watch me lose myself, You don't love me.
Right. You don't really
Because
love
if
me.
you so it's like you, if someone sees you, Sonya, so I just talked about you seeing you in your highest vibration, which is you doing these videos, you being in the quantum world, you doing it. If someone comes across you and says, well, yeah, I don't want you doing that anymore. To me, I look at that's not love.
Yeah.
Because if you love me, you want me in my highest vibration. So if I love you, I want you in your highest. Like go do that. Go do that.
Yeah.
But people will come across, well, hey, I want you to be submissive, and wait, hold on, wait, what? Or I want you to be, I had a friend of mine back a few years back, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a DJ, and she said to me, I said, because I always wanted to be a DJ. It was like just one of my highest aspirations.
Oh, okay.
She was like, you don't need to be a DJ. We need more electricians, and you need more. And I'm like, what? Why are you trying to kill my vibe? Like, if I say that that's a high vibration for me, and I want to do that, and then you bring me down, like, why would you do that? Like, that's not love. I said, when you tell me about your high vibrations, I'm like, hey, go do that.
Yeah.
So
Go do that.
yeah, the point of that is that when you reach this place of deprogramming and you reach your highest level, or you find out what your highest level is, people will try to bring you back to another place that's more suitable for them. But for me, it's an absolute no. That's a hard no.
Yeah.
There is nothing. And even the video that I was watching is like, if you're with this person and you're sleeping with that person and you can still walk away, you've passed the test.
Yeah.
You've passed the test because you are able to walk away from something that is not serving you, in spite of the immense pressure in the world of romance and love that says you're supposed to sacrifice, and which I have no problem with sacrifice. I will sacrifice everything, but I will not sacrifice myself.
Yeah.
That's the part. I'll sacrifice time, finances.
Yeah.
But
No, I feel that for sure, because there is like even this me and my friend the other day, we were on here talking about the twin flame journey.
Yep.
And she was like, yeah, we had an interesting conversation about that, because it's definitely like, even in the spiritual world, people are getting too wrapped up into it, and it's like they're thinking, oh, this person's got to be my twin flame, and then it's a whole, I don't know, it's like a whole setup for failure.
Which that's an infiltration. It's an infiltration of this field by the romantic, the conditioning of romance, and that was brought to me. It was told to me. This person told me, hey, you know what? We have to be twin flames. And I'm like, oh, maybe we are. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah. But so if that's being used as a manipulative tool, that's what you're, and so, but even through that, because love can be used as a manipulation, and the twin flame thing could be used as manipulation. It literally came up. It came up a few times, and I'm like, okay, all right. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah.
But if it's to me, understanding alignment helps me to navigate everything. So if you and I are aligned and we, work not with perfection, I don't mean that way, but if we are aligned, I will know that. I will know that. And I'm at that stage where I just know. You don't have to tell me. I know. And the closer you get to a person, the more you could see. So I started, and not to speak ill of this person. I have a lot of respect for this person. I want to say that. But I could see where they are in their journey. There's still mechanisms of manipulation, control, fear-based thinking. And I was like, I don't operate that way. I don't do that. And so and you're not going to project that onto me. I'm not going to project it onto you, and I'm not going to let you project it onto me. Like, no, I need to keep my frequency high.
Right.
It cannot be at this low vibrational place where, a lot of people like to take you. But being able to deprogram things is a reverse engineer things has helped me tremendously to be able to see these things. It's like, okay, if I didn't have the ability to deprogram, I wouldn't have been able to see that. I would have like, oh yeah, love, you are supposed to do this, and I'm the man, so I'm supposed to lay down my life and do all of these things, and just and And I said, no, I won't. I won't
Yeah.
lose, because one thing that happened with me is that my my awakening, my spiritual path became more important than everything.
Mm-hmm.
Love, money, companionship,
Yeah.
status, like whatever things you can dangle in front of me, sex, like
Right.
whatever you can dangle in front of me.
Dangle. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right. Yeah. It's all a part of it. Yeah.
like, hey, look at this shiny item. Look, come
Mm-hmm.
this way. And I'm like, no, I don't
It's
want.
so many.
I will stay over here.
Yeah.
Even spending a lot of time by myself is deprogramming, because
Oh yeah.
you're supposed to have a spouse, you're supposed to have a partner. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
around me is married. You know, I was divorced in 2010. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why aren't you remarried? I mean, do I
Yeah.
have to?
Like I don't have to be.
Do I have to be to have value? That's
Yeah.
deprogramming. And
Mhm.
people say, well, you're getting older. You know,
You're
and
getting older.
of course, I mean,
Right.
duh, I know that. I'm with me every day. I know how old
Mhm.
I'm getting, but I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be alone, and I have to say this under my breath, because I can't tell people this because they think I'm crazy. I'm like, I'm never alone. Let me
Yeah.
let me just let you know, I've never
Never
been
alone.
alone.
Yeah.
Because as long as I'm with me, we're good. Now
Yeah.
that does not mean, and I say that to say that does not mean I'm not so deprogrammed to where I'm like, okay, if someone comes across my path and like, okay, we're in alignment and we're supposed to go that direction, okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not against that, but I will tell you this: when you get to this path of awakening and moving into the quantum areas,
Mhm.
relationships become extremely hard to come by,
Mhm.
because it's not every person that is able to align with you. And I think it's
Mhm.
designed to be that way, you
Mhm.
know because what do we do when we get into relationships? Sometimes that person becomes the distraction, and we're not on
Mhm.
our path. It's like, I'm so focused on you, what you doing, where you at, where you going, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what?
I
I
want that.
actually came to a point in my awakening too where I was like, well, I don't even know if I want a relationship because I like my freedom and being able to do what I want to do. And I guess that's where it comes to a point. It's like, if it is meant to be, then that person, whoever it is, will be
Yeah,
able to, we will be able to allow each other to be ourselves and do what we want to do. And the other person doesn't get upset about it or whatever it is, and still be able to have fun together and spend time together. Um,
yeah. Instead of people
it has
taking
to
it
be that.
personal.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
don't take, so let's say you go do one of you're like, hey, I got to go do this, podcast, or I got this
Hmm.
booking show event that you got to go speak at, and the person gets jealous about that, and they
Hmm.
get, it's like, we're not aligned. We're not
Yeah.
aligned. Like, we are not aligned, because one thing I've learned is that I love seeing people operate at their highest level. That
Hmm.
is a beautiful thing. Like, and so in
Hmm.
relationship, it's like, no, go do your highest level, and I'm going to do my highest level, and then
Hmm.
we'll meet in the middle and connect at our
Hmm.
highest level. But
Yeah.
deprogramming from religion, deprogramming from, for me speaking, from relationships, even family relationships,
Hmm.
that I'm supposed to just do whatever because we're family. Because when they pull the F card, they're like,
Right.
we're family, so you just let me do whatever. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, I said, well, let's flip that. The fact that we're family means you should treat me better.
Hmm.
So
Right.
so I had to let go of that pro, because in my family, what we had this rule where people would just mistreat you, do you wrong, and then the next day be like, all right, we good, because we're supposed to forgive, because we're
Hmm.
family. Had to deprogram from that.
That.
The education system, deprogram from the 9 to 5 work, and then go for a 2-week vacation and then die. No, I'm not doing that. No,
Mm.
I have a purpose. So it just, this deprogramming is like I said, it can be hard, it can be lonely, but I would
Mhm.
never go back.
Yeah, because they try and make people think that they can't go out and be an entrepreneur, and that's the thing. I just, from what I know now, I definitely believe we are all limitless. There's infinite amount of resources.
Oh,
We just have to believe in ourselves and believe in that, and we'll see it come to fruition.
Yeah, bring it to life. Like, so I was talking to somebody and it was like, oh, I've just been wanting to do this forever. And I was like, okay, well, and they said to me, they said, I feel stuck in my job. I was like, well, first of all, you're not stuck. And be careful how you talk, because whatever you say is true. Like, if you say you're stuck, you're stuck. If you say
Right.
I can get out of this, you can get out of this. Like, when you talk about what you believe, and so they were talking about how they wanted to leave it. And I said, but they said, but I want this position. I was like, well, did you know that you could create that position somewhere? Like, you can literally create it.
Yeah, create.
You can go and get it, like you are. And I was like, you're a creator. Like, but you've settled into the system. You've settled into now. The fear of leaving that system is is upon you right now. And so that's why the conversation I was having with her was like, well, it's like, okay, you do what you want to do, but I'm gonna let you know you don't have to. You're not stuck. You are not stuck. Like, I told her it may feel like it.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to see beyond that. Like you just said, like, if you believe that you can do it, like, there's no doubt. I said, there's a place that will hire you right now based on your skill set, and they'll hire you at the days you only want to work 3 days a week. They'll hire you. It's your job to make that happen, though. But you can't make it happen if you think you're stuck. Because if you think you're stuck, you try. So this is a big deal. Like, deprogramming is a big deal, and it's there's still things that I'm deprogramming from.
Deprogramming, yeah, and I don't think it's gonna all happen at once. Like, it's like you have to peel the onion back and kind of like. I do feel like, I mean, there's definitely quantum leaps that you can make, but obviously there is a certain amount of lag time that there needs to be to get to a certain place, I feel like. And I'm starting to realize, even too, for most people, some people might be able to make a quantum leap, which I feel like I've been able to do in different times of my life. But I feel like most people have to do the little by little in order to bring themselves to a certain point.
Right. So that's been your journey. So your deprogramming, was it similar like to mine? What was your deprogramming like?
So my deprogramming was really, I feel like it first started in my early 20s, where I do remember a time frame in my early 20s where I started to see different feelings inside myself, like a jealous feeling, or just a negative feeling that I didn't like. It really started with that. Like, in my early 20s, I was like, I don't want to feel jealous. So I deprogrammed myself from that feeling and just being happy for other people and where they're at. And I started that at an early age. Even, like, I guess guys that I've dated over time, like, I never was a jealous person. That just wasn't how I was. But come to find out later on, I had things from my childhood that I never dealt with. They were just in the back of my mind. And so that's why I was meeting the type of people I was meeting.
Right.
Even though I was a good person. Well, I can't say I've always been a good person. There was definitely a time in my 20s where
I was out there wilding out in them streets. Okay, I got you.
In my 20s, there was a time where I was like, I guess it was my ratchet season, where I was.
We all were. Yeah. I was out there too. Yeah.
But I really did it from I was able to turn off my emotions, I guess. And I just really did this experimentation where I was like, I just want to see how long it takes for somebody to, like, fall for me. And so I would just, like, I guess, use these guys for sex. And that's all it was for me. And then over time, it was always different for every person. But over time, they would always, like, fall for me. And then I'd be like, all right, well, I'm done with that experiment and move on. So...
Yeah, dudes banging on your doors.
So it was not, it wasn't it was definitely a time frame in my life where I wasn't being very nice. Obviously, I was just being kind of, like, people called me cold-hearted and all these different things. But it was an experiment that I wanted to do, I guess. But I guess it did show me that if I want somebody and I focus on it, but let it go, like, I just let the attachment go. Like, I wasn't pressing nobody to talk to me every day. I was just letting things be. And at every single one of them, like, fell for me at one point. Or I guess, I don't know. I don't even really like, now that I know what love really is, like none of that stuff was ever love.
Yeah.
It was just,
Yeah. You bring up a good point too, letting it be, in
Mhm.
this state. There's a sense, that I've come across of just allowing the outcome to be what it is. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
going to, I can force an outcome. Like, you can force an outcome. Like, you can force outcomes,
Mhm.
but what we can't force is alignment.
Yeah.
That's like what I've done it. I've forced outcomes in my life, and it was
Mhm.
hot garbage every time. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was relationships. It was hot
Mhm.
garbage, and the deprogramming of those relationships, and me understanding that it's okay for relationships to not work. Like,
Mhm.
divorce it's okay.
It's
It's not
okay.
like that's a program saying, "Oh my gosh, you
You
divorced.
can't get
You're tainted."
divorced.
No, I'm not. I am not.
Yeah.
I'm better because we're not together. Hell,
Yeah.
she's better because we're not together. So
Right.
the programming of that is just is another thing. Like I said, for women, you all get this. Oh, you guys are getting older. You got to hurry up and
Yeah.
why?
Like, especially if you want a kid, and it's just like, look, I'm not attached to that at all. Like, I do, like, even if I do want another child for my son to grow up with, like, I'm like, well, I'm not putting an attachment on anything. So if it gets to a point where my son might be 5 years old and I just adopt another kid for him to have, then maybe that's how it'll be. But I'm not over here trying to be like, well, I need to find somebody so I can pop another kid out.
And then, the thing too, what you're saying is that, because where do those narratives come from? They come from other people. And so
Hmm.
part of deprogramming is being able to understand where the narratives are coming from, block those, and neutralize those narratives. So when
Yeah.
people try to force their agendas on me about what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thank you. Thank you for your opinion. Because you're talking about something that, to me, when people say, well, you know what, you're 50 years old, you should be married. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate your opinion.
Yeah.
If I was supposed to be, I would be.
Right.
And maybe I'll be married at 53 or 52. I don't know. I can't,
Yeah.
I'm open to it, but it's something that um what ends up happening is, because if I was only operating in 3D, I would have been married by now.
Hmm.
But I don't operate in 3D fully like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm part of 3D, but my 5D is always there. And then my 5D is
Yeah.
like, nope, that is not where you're just supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay. And the
Right.
majority,
Because it's about
yeah.
trying to be at our highest timeline. That's
And
where
the
we're
majority
aiming
of
for.
people, the majority of people are not operating from 5D. They're
Mhm.
operating from their vision of 3D. And so when they say to you things, I'm like, where is this coming from? Is this
Mhm.
5D or 3D? And it's like, I can clearly recognize, oh,
Yeah.
that's 3D, because you're telling me what the narrative of what other people think and what our culture says, tradition says, which I don't
Mhm.
give a damn about. I don't care about culture. I don't care about tradition. I care about what my highest timeline says that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because culture and tradition, think about, I mean, shoot, it wasn't until 1974 where you wouldn't even be able to be on this podcast.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you go back a little further, I couldn't be on this podcast if you
Yeah.
want to talk about culture and tradition. So
Mhm.
I learned from that, like, yeah, no, I'm not, I have to create the timeline that I want. So this
Yeah.
deprogramming journey gets really, really deep, and there's a lot of tentacles. There's a lot of
Yeah. There
lanes.
is.
There's a lot of
Because
lanes.
mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because even being in the Marine Corps, I was definitely severely programmed in the Marine Corps for at least 10 years. And then
Mhm.
it was really when I got pregnant with my son. And this is where I am thankful for all the things that I've gone through, even though they might have seemed negative at the time. Um, like, I know my son was meant to be here. I know, even though even though my ex was trying to seclude me by trying to convince me to get out of the Marine Corps, it actually did me a favor, because I was deprogramming myself from the Marine Corps during the last couple years I was in. And so I stopped caring what the leaders thought of me, when before all I used to do was like, oh, I have to make sure I'm the best. I'm the best female here, and I got to beat the guys. And like, there was always like an anxiety around having to like work the hardest, be the best, and not be that female that slacks off or whatever. But honestly, once I had my son, I just stopped caring. Like I was a shit bag, they would call it. Because I would come in early and or I would come in late. I would come in late and leave
early.
Yeah. And before my son, I would have done the opposite. I would have been coming in early, leaving late, just working hard for the Marine Corps. But
so your priority shifted, and now, so I can see that same energy when you're operating in this quantum world. Like I can see the energy of like you putting in tremendous work into this. And I know it's not work to you. It's actually love. Like this ain't work. You love doing this. Like every time I look up, there's a new podcast with you on it. You talking to somebody else. You're doing this. You're posting videos. You are doing the work that is like, it comes from that deep place in you. It comes from that 5D place, and it's not work. That's why I said, like when I do my presentations or I'm doing it, this is not work. This is what we love. This is what we love. This comes from a place in us that's very deep, that is ancient, that is, and it's like I feel privileged to be able to do what I do, and I know you feel the same. I can tell. You can tell when a person loves what they do. Like I said, and at your highest timeline, I see that, but I imagine it took a lot of deprogramming, not just from culture, but like you said, you have the Marine Corps experience, highly military.
Yeah. And my mom, honestly, so she was it's a lot of ancestral stuff with me because my mom, she grew up in Korea. And so she has this very like traditional, judgmental, like I saw her never tell anybody anything, and I couldn't talk to her about anything. We couldn't even talk about sex in the house. Like we couldn't talk about anything because she was so like ashamed about almost everything that and she's still super religious, like and I go to church with her, because it makes her happy. And so she's one of those people that I go, if I go home to see her, I'm not over here like talking about quantum stuff.
Which, we talked about that a little bit about being able to be flexible enough to meet people where they are in their spaces and not be offended by it. Like I'm secure in my walk, which means I could walk with you in yours.
Yeah.
I'm so secure. Like I'm not worried about what you are doing. I'm worried about, I'm not worried about anything, but I'm secure. Like you being able to sit with your mom in church means that your deprogramming is complete. And I'm not worried about sitting there with you. If that makes you happy, so be it.
Yeah.
I'm not about to convert. Like I already know that.
Right.
When they ask me to
gonna,
come up to,
I'm not gonna go get baptized.
Yeah, who wants to come up to the front? I'm not going to.
Right, all of that. Every time they say that.
Yeah, if you try to get me, don't have me embarrass you in front of this church. I will start telling you, like, if you try to force it on me, then I'm a push back. But don't.
Right.
But I will sit there. I will be respectful. I will listen to the message. I will amen. I will do whatever. But being able to walk in someone else's path with them without it feeling some type of way is really, really, I feel like that's a place of power, a place of love, and a place of someone who is completely deprogrammed, because the programming tells you, if I'm walking this way, you're supposed to walk this way too.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Which is ego. Because I said this to somebody who was trying to convert me, and I was like, listen, man, I don't really see your God. I see your ego. I said, because you are trying to care about me. You say you care about me, but you're not listening to me. How do you care about me and you're not listening to what I tell you that I want? I don't want this, and you keep trying to force it on me. So this is about you. This is not about me. So I'm like, no, I don't want that. I said, because if I tell you something and you say no, then I'll stop.
Yeah.
Because I respect you. And if you say I don't want that, but people. The programming tells you you're supposed to have everyone do everything that you do. And when you're able to release that, It's like, no, you don't have to do what I do.
Release that control. Even when I listen to Abraham Hicks, like I listen to her a lot lately, and when I listen to that, she tells these people about because they'll even ask questions about their kids, and like the thing is, when our children are a separate person from us, so it's like we're always trying to force them to do things our way. When it's like, okay, well, put your jacket on, it's cold outside, and they're like, I'm hot. Like who are we to tell them how they feel? And that's a big reason why I detached from my mom at such a young age, was because she was trying to force me to be what she wanted me to be my whole life. And so I detached from her like basically my whole life, like my childhood. I was very detached. It's probably why I felt when I was younger, I felt alone. Even though I wasn't, I could have reached out, but
you didn't know.
But I didn't know. Yeah, I just always felt alone. I felt like the world was against me. Like, and there was definitely all that, even the defense mechanisms my mind went into it from a child. I had to deprogram from those.
Which is, I mean, a big deal when you speak about the parenting, because as a young parent myself, I was programmed, as a father to have to be a certain way, to be strict and all this other stuff. And, throughout my years of growing, I recognized it's not my job to steer them into what I want them to be. It's to find out where they're naturally going and then support them on that journey. Like, it's not, one of my sons just recently became a police officer. I was like, I didn't want that. That wasn't a part of the plan. He was like, Pop, I want to become a law enforcement. And I was like, well, I was like, okay, if that's what your path says. And I understand at this point, and my kids are grown, but I understand at this point, and I wish I would have known this when they were younger, but my job is to just love them through whatever it is that they are experiencing in this life. And of course, as a father, I want to guide them. But at the end of the day, my kids are grown. They're going to make their choices.
Right.
Even with younger kids, what do they naturally gravitate towards, and then support it.
Right.
But that was deprogramming. I had to deprogram from that as a man to love them differently, to show affection to them, to hug them, to kiss them, to tell them I love them. That's deprogramming.
Yeah.
Like, man, you don't tell your kids that. You don't teach your kids that way.
Right. Men gotta be hard.
You have the men who's like, these kids getting participation trophies, and I'm like, shut up, respectfully, like, stop. Because you know what? As someone that's coached kids, you don't know what that kid went through to get to that. Because I used to coach my son's football teams.
Yeah.
And I had kids out there who had no desire to be in football. But the parents put them in, and that's not the sport you want a kid in if they don't want to be there. Because you got to get hit. You got to, and so when they talk about participation trophy, I'm like, man, this kid showed up every day to something they didn't want to do. And they gave their best. They didn't. You damn right they're gonna get a trophy. I'm giving them.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? But that's against the programming. Programming is like, well, you're gonna make no. That kid worked hard, and I saw that kid show up here. I saw him crying. I saw him fighting with his parents in the parking lot because not wanting to be there. I saw all of that.
Yeah.
And so but again,
I'm actually coaching a youth track and field team right now, USA Track and Field, and I'm trying to learn how to navigate that because it is like even the coaches are at a certain level of consciousness to where I've just been kind of standing by and helping where I can. But that's another. I feel like that's another.
It's going to be good for the kids though to see it, but because coaching, it's like there's certain things you do, but then how do you do that without being the stereotypical program coach? How do you support these kids and what they're doing, motivate them, things like that? I'm actually going to do a talk tomorrow in my alma mater at my high school for the student athlete banquet. And that's something I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be talking about, I'm not explicitly going to be talking about deprogramming, but I am going to mention that they are creators, I'm going to mention, things like that. But it's a big deal to be someone that is deprogramming and continuing that process. I think for me, it's a sense of freedom to decide what is best for me. One thing that I've picked up on recently is sovereignty. I want to be a sovereign being. And I want to be a sovereign being. Sovereignty means freedom. It means I am in control of me. I am the best person that's going to decide what happens with me. I can take advice from other people, but I don't want to be controlled. And that's to me what deprogramming means. It means being sovereign, being able to make decisions that are best for yourself. And I appreciate this journey, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it. But I'm going to,
I agree with that 100%.
Leaving the Marine Corps, you've become a sovereign being.
I had to free myself from that. Because I always felt, and you know what? I was always kind of rebellious when I was in the Marine Corps. Like, as far as I didn't want to follow certain rules because I thought it was stupid. And so, like, I would do things like I'd take leave and go out of the country, but not put the package in. And there was one time, I think we almost got caught up, and that was when I was like, man, I don't even feel free. Like, I need to be able to go where I want to go, do what I want to do without having to tell daddy.
I'm telling you that, like, when you I don't, that word has just recently come into my energy, and it's just something that's resonating with me, and it's been something that I've been chasing for a long time, and I've been getting bits and pieces of it. And more I've gotten it. I left my job, 9 to 5, and started the business, and like, okay, well, I'm going to figure this out because I want my time. I want my sovereignty. I want to be who I need to be. And it's something that is scary because you don't have the comforts of, the 9 to 5, but at the same time, the level of freedom to just be myself. Oh my gosh. And then being myself, I love myself. So, I love who I am. I love being myself. And so that is something to me that's priceless. And I think that's one of the rewards of being deprogramming is you get to be who you really are.
Yeah.
Like, you get to be that.
Completely yourself without caring what anybody thinks, what anybody says.
I've had a few, I teach anger management on base. So I've had a few guys come to class, and they were getting ADSEP. Had some issues, and they're getting ADSEP, and they're in anger management, and it was a sad situation. But then there's a few guys that come in and they understand. They're like, well, now I get to do my tattoo business. Now I get to become the artist. I get to grow my hair out. I get to do like little things like that that you think don't mean anything. And it's like, well, and when we start having those conversations, they start talking about who they got to be now. Like, I get to be this person now.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's beautiful, man. I'm glad, but it takes the death of one place in order for another one to come alive. Like, this place, this situation, this version of you has to die to birth this new version of yourself to where you are a sovereign being. That's the message. I'm gonna be doing a message on that. I just got that download.
You know what? That's crazy. I was thinking about that, like, probably in the last couple weeks. I was thinking about that, being a sovereign being, and I was gonna make a post about it, but then I went down this narcissist thing. But it was just like two people being able to be sovereign beings, but being able to come together in the middle with the whole,
right.
And I feel like so many people are just dependent or trying to control or whatever it is.
But half of me, when I look at that through an empathetic lens, I can't blame them, because this is what our society, our culture, this matrix, this is what it's about, and everyone falls into that. They don't know any different.
That is true. It really is, like, severely programmed. And
the guy I was talking to earlier, he said, if when people wake up, one of the things that, being deprogrammed, it's like, what is the alternative to being programmed? All we know is program. We don't even know deprogrammed is an option.
Right.
We don't even know that. Like, we
Yeah.
don't know that. Like, Neo didn't know that the Matrix was the Matrix before he knew it.
Yeah.
He didn't know that. Like,
That
he
is
didn't know
true.
that.
It's like you really have to come to this. And like you said, everybody's on their own journeys. So some people are going to awaken in this lifetime, and some people, I believe, are going to be coming back for more lifetimes.
I already said I'm trying to not come back.
Yeah, me too. I said the same thing. I was like, this is my
I wanna
last
talk to
lifetime.
management. I want to talk to management when I get done. Like, hey, can we need to have a meeting? What is it? An exit interview? Like,
Yeah, right. This is my last lifetime
I'll
here.
send me to this ghetto place, and I'm not trying to go back. Like, and if I go to, I always say, if I got to go back, I'm coming back as a fly. I'm gonna
But
do my 24 hours.
I know that we chose to come because it's always been in my nature to choose like the hardest thing. So I know myself as a soul was like, oh, give me that. Give me that, coach, because I could overcome it. Like, wait, are you sure
you went to the Marine
that?
Corps? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have went to the Navy. You could have went to the Air Force. You went to the Marine Corps.
I literally was
right
like, I chose it because I knew it was the hardest branch.
Right.
I was like, I have to do the hardest. And I'm like, okay, my soul definitely resonates. Like, it was like, look, you're going to come down and be with a narcissistic mother. You're going to be emotionally neglected your whole childhood, your whole life. You're going to have to navigate all that. You're going to have to, run into, I didn't even realize, my best friend was a narcissist until I overcame the relationship narcissist. And I was like, damn. I just started seeing all the little things in the past of our relationship that I didn't see before. And so it was like, shoot, I'm just like, now I'm in this realm where I am meeting a lot more people that are in this vibration. And so it's been amazing. But I am like, I guess in that lonely, I don't want to call it lonely because I don't feel lonely.
I know what you mean.
But it's basically
people are gone away physically.
Yeah, people have gone away, and I know those people are meant to go away, and I'm meant to find my tribe. But I know they're going to come to me whenever they're meant to come.
But you're already doing it. You're already doing it and building relationships in this new timeline that you're in. That's what happened because the old timeline is gone. And I'm like you. I chose a very difficult path, and I chose the path of not only having people that were harmful to me, I chose a path where I was actually doing harm to other people. And then I had to deprogram from that mentality of why did I think this was okay? Where did that come from? How did I get to be that type of toxic, abusive person? So, I mean, you talk about awakening. Awakening to yourself and like just really understanding, that difficult path. And then, again, getting hurt by other people.
I feel like even because you said something that just sparked something, I feel like just being, I feel like now that I'm a conscious mother of a boy, I feel like I've even seen instances in my son where he's gotten angry, but at his toddler age, he doesn't even know why he's reacting the way he's reacting. And so I believe that it's up to me as a mother, being a conscious mother now, to teach him like, okay, this is, this is, you're angry because of this, or you're angry because of that, but here's how we can better react to it, breathing exercises, the meditations and all that stuff.
Which I think is necessary for kids, and they never teach that. So in the anger management, we talk about the reaction, and the reaction is the primitive brain. But what we choose is that we want to choose a response. How do you respond? Not react. How do you respond? The difference between those two: reaction is instinct, response is thought. And so getting him to think about, hey, what's going on? What do you feel? Getting him to think, being in touch with him, and kids nowadays, they're way more advanced emotionally. So they'll be able to, well, I feel this. And then, okay, well, what do we do about that? And so all of that is thinking. It's all thinking, it's all processing, it's all figuring it out, as opposed to being reactive, where I grew up in a reactive environment. My mom was reactive, my brother, all of my family was reactive. And so, of course, I grew up. Yeah, I'm reactive too. And then I had to deprogram from that. So I always talk to people about when we talk about deprogramming, we have to deprogram from our toxic habits too. You know, you mentioned the defense mechanisms earlier. You know, deprogram from denial, deprogram from projection, deprogram from, you know, sublimation and whatever defense mechanism we use, we got deprogram from those too. Like the biggest one for me was denial. Like, nah, I ain't got a problem. No, y'all the ones with the problem.
Yeah.
You know, that's the narrative. Like that's the narrative. It's like, well, hold on. Let me take a look at me. Let me
Yeah.
take a look at me objectively, as if I were not me. You know, would I want my kids being with a person like me? Nope. No, I wouldn't. And I had to look at that. I had to look at myself and say, well, hold on, man. Let me. And then I was like, okay, well. The other thing is that to be able to look at yourself like that is deprogramming. And then to also understand that, you know what? Well, if I don't like this, I have the power to change it. That's deprogramming too. I can change who I am. I don't have to. And I always knew that. I just didn't know how to do it. And I was too scared. There was too much fear involved because it's like, if I tell somebody I've been toxic or abusive, what are they going to think of me? I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. You're gonna think. I mean,
Yeah.
you can think what you think anyway. You could walk on water and people will still think negatively of you.
Right. Yeah, I actually went through a time frame. It was like last year when I was still in my real healing stage, where it was like I was trying to go on dates and stuff, but then I was like, oh, I don't want to tell people about my toxic ex because then they're going to be scared to date me.
Yeah.
But you know, once you get into like the 5D, like you said, like you just see things completely differently.
Alignment, and that's something too. People that know the work that I do and me sharing my toxic behavior, to say, well, what do you do when you date someone? Do you tell them? I was like, hell yeah, I tell them.
Yeah.
It's not like I meet them. Hey, hi, my name is Dom. I've been toxic. I don't do that. Like,
Right. Yeah.
Like in normal conversation, when it comes up, like, and sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I got other sides of my story I want to talk to you about at the right time. You know, at the right time, we'll have that conversation, but I want you to know who I've been, who I am, and then you get to decide what you want to do from there. But I'm not gonna lie or sugarcoat. I'm just gonna like, look, in my past, this is what's happened to me. Whoever is in alignment with that will stay. Whoever's not, that's okay. Because I've been able to also deprogram and release the outcome. I don't need this to go anywhere. It can go wherever it's going to go. Like, and that's deprogramming too.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I remember there was even a time when my ex-best friend would tell me like, oh, I don't think you should tell them that and this and that. But you know, she is a toxic person. Like there's like, if I'm not even going to go into like her story with her relationships, but I definitely started to see, I think of some of our last conversations, I started to see the things that she'd be telling me. And it was almost like she was wanting me, or I don't know if she was probably wasn't even doing it consciously, but she was telling me things and I was seeing that it was to get me to believe a certain thing. Like, oh, your divorce is going to take so long because these people, they just drag it on and your son is going to need lots of therapy growing up. And then I was like, no, I was thinking in my mind, like, I don't believe that. And that was the last conversation that we had because I was like, I don't believe any of this stuff that she's trying to put into my brain.
Yeah. And that's funny too when you say that. I was just talking to somebody recently, and this person operates, you know, from a 5D perspective. And she was talking about how a lot of the advice from her friends, it just doesn't resonate. And I was like, duh. Right. It's not that they're bad. It's not that they come from a bad. They're coming from you can only meet a person from the place where they've met themselves. So if all I know is 11th grade math, that's the only place I can speak from. I've never gone to calculus. I haven't done trigonometry. I haven't done statistics. But if all I know is algebra 1 and algebra 2, then that's what I'm going to speak from. And that's not they're trying. They're telling you the best advice that they have to offer. It just so happens that that's not enough for where I'm going.
Right. Because that's where her daughter's a teenager. And so her daughter has to go through a bunch of therapy because of the, you know, the stuff they went through. And so that's why I did notice. Yeah, it was like I didn't judge it when she told me this. I just didn't believe it. I didn't take it on as my belief.
It didn't resonate. It was like,
Yeah.
okay. And I say to people, thanks for the advice. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Noted. You know, I
Yeah.
don't have to follow it. We don't have to get in a fight about it. I'm like, oh, I understand when
Mhm.
people are trying to advise me from where they are. It's not a
Yeah.
negative. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I ain't using that.
Mhm.
I'm past that place of using that, you know,
Yeah.
but somebody said the same thing to me. Yeah, I wouldn't tell anybody, you know, about your past. And I was like, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You need an outcome. You need somebody to say.
Right.
I don't. Like
Yeah.
and I'm not, and I also don't want to introduce the energy of lies.
Lies.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to introduce that.
And
I'm like, man,
deceit.
yeah. I mean, because this conversation will come up in some way, shape, or form, or they look at
Yeah.
my website and you're like, dang, what do you talk about during your presentations?
Yeah.
Well, basically, what had happened was like, and I gotta go do all of that.
Yeah. It just makes things even more complicated. So it's like, and that's one thing that I even before I had my awakening, I kind of knew. I was like, but I want to be able to tell somebody everything and nobody judge it for that. Like, I feel like that's what it should be.
Freedom and sovereignty, being able to live your life, and speak your truth. And then here's the other thing. So in my presentations, I talk a lot about myself. I don't really speak too much about my ex. I talk about me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I talk about my bad choices, my behaviors, and there are people that judge me based on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it. I have no issues about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with whatever judgment you have. I also know that your judgment will stay right there with you. It's not coming to me. I'm not accepting it. I reject your judgment of who you think I am or whatever you say, but I understand why you feel that way. And I will validate why you feel cool. No problem.
Yeah.
You're entitled to have whatever opinion of me you have, but I am not required to accept it. I don't have to. I do not have to. You know, that's a deprogramming.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a deprogramming too.
I think I got to get going.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do too.
No, I know you said you had another call, so
but we can.
Really good conversation. I do appreciate this. I want to see this. I got to look back on this video. I want to see this.
Yeah.
Because I want to listen to this. I want to listen to this conversation because I know there was a lot of things that was just hot off the press downloads from you and me.
Right. Just seriously.
Just download. I didn't expect some of the stuff. I'm like, damn, did I really just say that?
Just came through. Yeah.
Those are hot off the press. That's how it goes.
It's
straight up downloads. So, let me know when it's ready or whenever you and I. Yeah.
Okay.
I do want to watch this.
I'll let you know when I post it. I'm probably gonna post a couple different ones that I have saved this week and next week, and then I'll post this up.
Okay. All right. We'll get you some rest before your next appointment because I know you busy. You busy as heck. I'm actually going to the gym. I'm gonna go and work off all of my stresses right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to the track later today to do my little track workout. I do like a track workout before the practice, so
that's good. That's good. Yeah, I think I might swim today. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah.
We'll see what happens. Something less impact. My body's old. I got mileage on me. I can't do all that stuff.
Yeah,
but okay. So let me know. I appreciate you. Thank you. Stay in your highest vibration. That's where you belong. I'm glad you found that. I'm really glad you found that.
Yeah, I was like, I do feel like sometimes we do have to like experiment with things, and then we're like, oh wait, that's not the right place. Like, let me get back.
You gotta see, which is beautiful. That and again, you'll know. You'll know. You'll know. So have a good rest of your day. Arigato.
You too. All right. You guys have a good rest of your day.
All right. Okay. All right. Bye.